I didn't live anywhere near where he was.
How do you think, you think having shelters for men would have helped your son?
Well, having a place he could go to, having a situation where people would at least listen to him, having a place where he might have got some better advice than he was getting from his lawyer, having a situation where he have a few days to get himself organized because you're on the street, you have no money. What are you supposed to do? You end up with your dad who lives miles away. Now you're away from all your friends. You're away from work. I mean, these are all really difficult situations. And when we look at this, if we don't see this, we miss a great deal. Now the second half of this, don't children end up in that situation? The children now have been told undoubtedly that not only is their dad a terrible person, but so are his parents. Now, you believe whatever you want about me. I'm perfectly okay with that. But the kid's grandmother is the nicest lady you ever want to meet, and she's somehow painted in the villain of all this.
We're really dealing with men being victims today. When a man is a victim, what do you think happens to them?
Well, they are automatically assumed to be guilty. There's no question about it. They are the guilty party.
With good reason. There's been lots of men who have abused women over the years, historically.
I would never argue that. But if you start looking at the realistic statistics, most violence is mutual. Most violence is mutual. So, and you can check that on StatsCan. I'm not making that up. I'm a researcher. That's what I do for a living. So I'm not going to be in a position where someone's going to say to me, well, the stereotype is men do it and women are victims. Sorry, check the research, because that's not what the research says. Now, I don't have a newspaper, and I don't have a television station, and I'm not a politician. So I don't have much access to give that information out. That's why that sign's there. And if anybody wants to check, please do check, because the fact of the matter is, StatsCan will provide you with the numbers. And the numbers indicate that the majority of these cases are mutual. And once you separate those out, it's virtually even between whether the instigators are male or female. And I know we're talking Canada, but if you look at the U.S., the murder rate between spouses is even. It's not even here because we don't have the gun culture here. But if we did, you get an idea of how this violence works. It works against both parties. Nobody's saying only, men are innocent and they shouldn't be victimized and so on. Nobody's saying that. What we're saying is all kinds of people are victimized. If we start ignoring 50% of the population, if we operate on the basis that 50% of the population can be presumed guilty immediately, or that 50% of the population couldn't possibly be victims, we're missing a really, really major point. And as I say, fine, you can believe me or not believe me, but the statistics are there, and the evidence is there. This is not based on the number of times police are called. This is based on the StatsCan studies. And they're a whole lot more reliable in the issue of how many times police are called. So, we need to look at that. And as I say, I make my living as a professional researcher.
Mind if I get your name again, James?
It's James Brown. It's Dr. James Brown, actually.
Doctor
Education.
Okay. And just James Brown spelled like this.
Just like The Godfather.
I'm gonna just ask you another question really, really quickly here, just for a re-ask purpose.
Sure.
You do understand how some women might find this offensive. Women who have been victims might find this offensive.
If people find truth offensive because it isn't the truth they like, that's very unfortunate. All I can say is it's very unfortunate. But I can turn the tables and say I find the other very offensive as well.
The lies are offensive. Much more offensive.
When people find themselves in a situation where they're offended by the correct information because it doesn't fit their picture, that's unfortunate. That's the only term I can use. That's unfortunate. But sort of get over it and start looking at what the reality of this is. And I'm not minimizing I'm not minimizing violence against women or anybody. That's the whole issue. Not against anybody.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
I want to make sure that I have all the information from you. My name's Lorenda, by the way. I'm from BC.
All right.
So your name's James. James Brown.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. And you don't live in Toronto, do you?
Not anymore. No. I live in scenic downtown Brecken.
Okay.
You know where Brecken is? I didn't think you would.
Yeah.
When you come to Brecken, there's a sign that says "Welcome to Brecken." On the other side of the sign, it says "Welcome to Brecken."
That's not how big it is.
Yeah.
It's like my hometown.
It's highway
Some of it was here.
But it's like
And
an
so-
hour from here.
No, not here. No, it's down there.
just over an hour here. It's south.
I just need to get a name, that's all.
No, southeast of Aurelia.
Okay. Now your son's name is what?
My son's name is John.
John. And where were these charges against him? Is that here? Is it somewhere? I'll go with that. Okay, I just thought. Probably one next to each other. So he doesn't have custody now, or the ex-wife.
Yeah. He doesn't have access to the law.
And so, and he lives in London. Okay. And they're in London too. They don't have any
More or less in London. And I don't have any communication with him. So it's a very, very unfortunate. One of those that doesn't have to be like that. But you know, it doesn't.
And what happened in his case again? Like, did he plead guilty?
Of course.
He did.
Well, what choice do you have?
And so,
If I said to you, go to jail, or you can get out now, and you can say, well, and if you go to court, you're going to lose. Your own lawyers. If you go to court, you're going to lose. So you can stay in jail and lose, or you can.
Hi, sorry. My name's Adrian. I was running a bit behind. What's your name?
With those two choices,
Denise. How are you, Denise? Sorry, we didn't
what's
get your
you're gonna be
interview.
guilty
What was
no
your
matter
part
what.
today?
Well,
Now,
I
sure.
learned communications and
And show,
everything.
did you support group? Maybe there'd be somebody who could give us some advice other than what his lawyer gave. At Cafe?
Oh, okay, but yeah. Sorry, I'm like, I know that's the, yeah.
I mean, I was mortified. Like, you realize you're going to have a record.
Well, what do you say about when people are a little anti, you know what I mean, thinking that what's the
I think it just pushes the issue of male victims
Place to
further
stay for a few
shadow.
days, get your feet back up.
Highly marginalized.
and so did he have difficulty finding work then after that?
No.
Are you guys able to email me the link to this StatsCan numbers?
Yeah, you also find it on our website, the Equality Canada. If you go onto the campaign website,
What's your website?
at www.equalitycanada.com.
You know what's interesting about the numbers? They've been known since the 70s. This has been known widely amongst academics, but it doesn't get into the public consciousness.
But the reality is, those
Yeah,
are
the
all-
sources are very, the sources are
That's-
solid.
So it's equalitycanada.com?
nobody looks at what's happening if you don't.
And you'll see the banner, you'll see the Billboard picture, and then there's a link
I think that's
to the,
If
something
there's
like
anything
read
important
board.
in the shelter, it's not just
And on that read board, you'll see a briefing document as well as the sources with the links.
You know, I guess, with any of the men that you worked with or helped at the association, any issues with, how they responded?
Well, we definitely had our share of criticism, which is natural for what we expect for this sort of campaign because it is so new, surprising, I guess. But we've also had a lot of support from men telling us their stories. One guy was hit by an iron pan by his ex-wife. Another was.
Let me just get you to start there from the beginning. Just tell me some of the stories that you've heard from men.
I know some guy, his ex-wife was hit with an iron pan and enough to almost kill him. But he didn't speak about it, didn't report about it. He could have gone to a shelter. But another guy had been abused for almost 30 years. He didn't consider it as abuse by his ex-wife. Lived in his car, was afraid.
If you can do that, you're better than anyone else.
the support, everything coming in, and we're really glad to see that in the our program at the center for men and families is really helping a very marginalized part of the population.
Spell it out. Just do it that way. Just keep chatting. How big's the organization?
The membership is fairly small, but it's growing. We're members right now. There are part of the Canadian Center for Men and Families and client membership as well. So it's a sister organization to the Canadian Association for Equality. That's where the action takes place, programs and services. And cafes more of the
Good. Thank you very much. I'm an advisor to my field of, this personal issue that was raised today, but my field of interest and expertise generally is on what's happening to little boys in the school system. Right? It's years working on specific.
Sorry, I'm gonna get it from the other side.
That's the other side.
So I can see that.
Gentlemen like yourself will not be.
Thank you. Great.
There won't be any.
What are these weird little things you have?
So
Weird things? Like the camera? GoPro.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's why I don't usually see it on its own without anything else attached to it.
I mean, the boy issue is a tricky time for our whole society.
Is that a camera like this? Is that
I was just
special kind of camera?
yeah, it's got a wide angle and you can it's really small and compact.
Yeah, but it's good.
High-
Like it's a high quality.
Yeah, high definition. But the sound could be a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the sound would be a lot better given how tiny. If how tiny it is already, it's probably working double time.
And I
Careful you don't swallow that by mistake.
Yeah, please be careful.
Yeah, the sound quality. I guarantee you, I won't be able to
I think
hear.
it went well.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I was.
Well, there's one thing I wanted to say, but I was like,
I didn't expect to talk about.
I wanted to say something, but
Yeah, and I feel like I was mumbling about it. I'm embarrassed to talk about
You spoke very clearly.
it. Yeah.
one thing I wanted to say, like when you were saying the police, of course they're not going to report high rates, whatever, because the way they're trained and it sounds like the police are making. It sounds like you're implying the police are making up the numbers.
No.
I know you weren't implying that, but it kind of seemed that I was like, ooh, better make sure you.
No,
know.
they basically have an
Yeah.
instruction manual,
Yeah.
how to follow procedures and not to separate women from children. You can read it's online.
No, I know.
Yeah,
But it
it's
sounded
not
like,
just
I know you didn't mean that, but it
Yeah.
sounded like you're implying that it's the police are biased, and they are biased, but that's why the men are reporting, not so much that they're reporting incorrectly, right? You know, they're not fudging the statistics as part of
Yeah.
a conspiracy kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
That's,
no, they're not.
No, I
police
know.
aren't
I was just saying
fudging
when you put it like that, the way you said it, it sounded like it could be interpreted by like in
Oh,
that way,
yeah,
and
no.
I was trying to.
The police are
should I
just
say
doing their
something?
jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all hell to pay if they don't follow their mandate, so they just do their jobs. It's not a police
I know.
thing. It's-
because that's the
perpetuates the stereotype that women are just weaker than men, and that therefore in more need of.
I don't think it's dealing with women are weaker than men. I think it's a stereotype that says women are good, men are bad. Intrinsically, and that we men are like little boys in school are essentially